Welcome to the flip side of adversity, year number 5. I can't believe it has been literally 5 years today. And as we embark on this 5th year anniversary, being able to bring intentional, powerful, strategic, and practical conversations is at my soul and is at the core of every conversation. And tonight's conversation is literally no different. When we talk about people carrying pressure silently, the ones showing up strong while privately questioning whether or not they still recognize themselves underneath the titles, the expectation, the exhaustion. Because we are living in a time where many leaders are expanding professionally while they're actually shrinking personally. And somewhere along the way, we started believing that leadership meant carrying every weight placed on us. But what if real leadership is not about carrying more? It's about choosing the right weight. Tonight, Erika Rothenberger challenges us to rethink resilience, identify our courage, and how to expand. After surviving unimaginable trauma, she has made the decision not to be defined by what has happened to her, but by what she can create next. And as leaders, that message matters so much right now. Because this season is demanding more than just being performative. It's actually demanding authenticity, wholeness, and audacity. Tonight, for our 5th year anniversary, we are having a bold, audacious, unapologetic conversation. And I hope that you will tune in and tap into your courageous place and fully operate around who you are fully becoming. Let's get at it on the flip side. What's making strong leaders in this season? Leadership and influence. It's rooted in the responsibility you take. You pay attention to the patterns, your calm, your strength, your hope. It's all integrated. We are living in a time where trust is fragile and people are watching not just what leaders say, but how they decide. Integrity is not optional anymore. Obedience is going to cost you. In this season, we're not just flipping adversity. We're forming leaders who can carry what comes next. Leaders from across all dimensions of fields and spaces. They're going to come together to give you the best of their wisdom. And I want you to leave each episode with a call to action. That's the work. That's the calling. And that's the conversation we're stepping into together. Welcome to the flip side of adversity. I am Dr. Veirdre Jackson, your CEO and creative behind Living Strong Consulting. Welcome to year 5. I cannot believe that we are here, that we are having this conversation. What the perfect conversation for year 5. Audacity, boldness, and expansion. All of the things. Now, I've been so excited since the moment I met this woman. And so when she said yes, I was overjoyed. And I know that she is going to have and provide for you tips, tools, strategies that will change your life. So grab your pen, grab your paper, get it together right now, because this episode is specially curated for you. Yep, you, the exhausted one, the tired one, the one who's shrinking and second guessing yourself. This is for you. Get ready. All right, I'm going to give you a second while I give you her credentials. Grab that pen, grab that paper. Let's get at it. Erika is a nationally recognized keynote speaker, best-selling author of Audacious Expansion, and a powerful voice for bold leadership and resilience. She has appeared on Fox News and was named Dynamic Woman of the Year by Modern Luxury Philadelphia Style. By day, she serves as Director of Performance Systems at Henkels & McCoy, and by passion, she's inspiring audiences across the country to lead with courage and expand beyond the limits they once believed were possible. A wife, a mother of two, an entrepreneur, a survivor turned advocate, Erika Rothenberger's message reminds us that the weight we carry can become the strength that builds us. A perfect flip side of adversity conversation. Welcome to our 5th anniversary, Erika Rothenberger.
Yes! So excited to be here, and congratulations. This is such a huge moment for you.
I am so grateful. I am so grateful that you said yes for this moment. And because I know that you are going to provide a powerful perspective for anyone, as I shared in the opening monologue, that I questioned 5 years ago whether or not I should do this, even though months before I had asked for it.
Isn't it funny how life works that way, right? We ask for it and then it comes and it's like, whoa, I'm not ready for it.
Wait a minute, I'm not sure.
Am I driving anymore?
And so when I heard you speak for the first time at Power, that literally, it grabbed my soul, how you are challenging women to be audacious and stop shrinking. If there has ever been a time where we need to not shrink, it is now. So let me jump into it, because you decided to name this episode The Audacity to Be You. Why do you think so many leaders spend years performing instead of actually fully showing up as their authentic selves?
You know, I love this question because I've done it, right? We've all done it. And so I think if we've already witnessed it and we've been part of it, it's a really easy question to answer in a lot of ways. And I think it's usually comes down to the 4-letter F word. And that's not a profanity. It's fear. The fear of what if? If I tell someone and it doesn't happen, if I look like a failure, if I don't succeed, what are people going to think of me? Instead of, I always like to use the analogy of putting our horse blinders on. Literally, it reminds me of the Kentucky Derby, right? Yes. I don't know if you recently, watched, horse number 19 happen with the first woman, right? Like coach, and it was absolutely amazing. But, we have to decide on what lane we can run in, right? And stop veering to the right or left. Stop worrying about what someone's doing or not doing, where your path is at. And I think when we really stay true to our purpose and our passion, and we start to put our blinders on and decide on where we want to go versus everyone else, and take away that fear and ask yourself the question, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And if not now, when? If not you, who? Because someone's going to go do it. Yeah. And I don't want you to have that regret of looking back saying, I wish I could have, would have, should have. And if you actually look at people who are, at the end of their lives and you ask them, the most common theme that runs through anyone answering that question is, I didn't take the risks. I didn't do what I really wanted to do. And at that point, it's too late.
Yes.
And so take the advantage of just going after it and making it happen. But I think we grow up, especially our generation, in such a way that, X plus Y has to be equal Z. And I think we have to start to take some of those boundaries off of ourselves and be willing to say, but what if I veer to the right a little or veer to the left with my blinders on, but go down the path that really serves me best?
Yes. And recognizing that cost of regret will be a price, one that you can never undo, but it literally, I cannot imagine leaving behind all of my untapped potential because of what if, maybe if, oh, am I enough for this?
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right?
All of those things.
And we have a 1 in 400 trillion chance of even being on this earth, right? Just how the world works. We were not put here to be small.
Right.
We were not put here to do small things. We were put here to make a legacy. And at the end of the day, it comes full circle that what is that legacy that you want to leave? You know, how do you want to be remembered?
Yes.
And for you, right? And to be able to leave it and say, this is my legacy, not what, you know, someone else wants or doesn't want, but what do I want to leave here?
And I think about my daughters. I have 2. They're grown now, and I have a granddaughter. And I think about what will they say about how I live my life, and how I live my life. How has that created or offered them the invitation, the permission to be audacious because they watched me do the same.
Yeah. You've paved a path for them,
right?
Yeah. So they're watching what you've done, and your actions speak so much louder than your words, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, it's so cliche, but people, Maya Angelou, right? They don't remember exactly what you said, but how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you ask someone that question, it was so interesting. So one of my first job interviews was at being asked the question, what is one word that describes me? And how do if someone left my presence and forgot my name and forgot my title and accolades and everything else about you, how would you want to leave them and how would you want to feel? And I do this in some of my keynotes now. And it's so interesting to see the responses that come up. And I say, when you go and introduce yourself to someone else, use that word instead of your real name, instead of your title, because at the end of the day, that's what you're leaving the person with. That's the legacy. That's the impact. Yes. And when I first got asked this question, I blurted out the word effervescent, which is a digestive tool. And I looked at this going, I'm probably just totally ruined this interview. But at the end of the day, I still like to think of myself that way, full of life and trying to rise bubbles to the top and bring energy into any room that I walk in. And 20 plus years later, I still wear that name tag with pride and honor. And so I would just ask you all to think about that as you're listening to this right now. What is that word? What is that word that you want to be left with? You know?
That is such a powerful invitation, especially in a season of time where exhaustion, fear, constant change, and even for some mission drift has begun to consume their day-to-day. That almost feels like that assignment, that one assignment, the very first one you've given them, is one that could literally course correct.
Yes.
And get me back focused and back in the blocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then physically, you know, I do a lot of writing in the morning, writing it down, whatever that word is. I am effervescent. I am creating, you know, and actually talk it into being and actually like feeling it within you. And that word has become such a part of me now. And it's that simple, right? Like you and I could talk about formulas and, you know, frameworks and all of this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, most of this stuff is simple, but it needs to be repetitive.
Yes.
Right? We can only do so much with motivation. It comes down to discipline at the end of the day, right? And we don't
100%.
like discipline doesn't fail us. We fail discipline, right? In the way that we decide to show up.
I hope y'all got your pens. Do you have your pens? Are you getting this down? Because this is truth. This is true.
Yes.
But let's lean in.
Yes.
Because the name of the show is Flip Side of Adversity.
Yes.
And although the word effervescent absolutely suits you, I 100% agree. It absolutely suits you. And those who might look at you now and say, oh, yes, I see. Oh, perfectly manicured, fantastic. there's something behind who you are today.
Mm.
And you have a flip side story before being able to fully claim your effervescence. There was a season of darkness.
Oh, 100%. And before I even go into that story, I just want to remind you that there's so many seasons and pockets just of life that you're not always going to be that name tag. And I want to remind anyone that's listening to this, like, we're not always showing up 100%. And today, if you can only give 60%, but you're giving your 60%, you're still giving 100%, right? And there's going to be different seasons and ebbs and flows. But many of us have had, quite frankly, a punch in our life somewhere where we've had an interruption, a major setback that could be a setup or could be an invitation to something else. And, I think about, my own life, and yes, there's been lots of interruptions and, setbacks that have happened, but the most profound one was 4 years ago, almost to the day, actually, on June 16th of 2022. And it was a day like any other. I drove to work the exact same way I always did. Husband was in Kansas City. Kids were with the sitter. I went to go park in that parking lot. I had my pink blazer on, my matching pink heels going. I was walking in, looking in the rearview mirror thinking, girl, you're living that big, bold, audacious life. You see, I've been in the construction industry for over 20 years. I have a hard hat and steel-toe boots. And I'm thinking I have the corner office and I'm living this life of, the 2 kids, the husband, the job, the corner office, everything short of quote unquote the white picket fence. And from the outside, it looked good. But inside, I think there was something that was missing. And as I took that last sip of Himalayan sea salt water that morning, the one that, J-Lo tells you at 2 a.m. to drink, so I get this glowy complexion, I remember gathering all my belongings. And as I turned back over to open my door, there he was. You see, he was a man I had never seen before. And I quickly asked him, sir, can I help you? And as that last word muttered out of my mouth, his fist hit my face as hard as it could. He took me by my hair and he threw me to that asphalt pavement. He proceeded to punch me 4, 5, 6 more times. But at that point, I wasn't even counting. I was doing everything I could to stay alive. The adrenaline pumping, blood coming down my face, saliva, gasping for air, trying to crawl away grip by grip. And I just couldn't get out of his wrath. What I didn't know is that he had been an ex-boxer. What I didn't know that he had been in prison for 14 years. What I didn't know is that the evening before he had assaulted 4 women in the streets of Philadelphia and had sexually assaulted a woman that morning of. And then it was that moment as I was trying to get out of his wrath that I saw the large crease of his elbow. And I knew it was coming under my throat. And in that moment, even though it was probably milliseconds, I just remember thinking, is this my last breath on earth? Is this the last time that I get to be the mom to Drew and Adeline? The last time that I get to be the wife to Andy? The last time I get to live this big, bold, audacious life? And then everything went black. And I don't say this story as a victim story. I really say it as a choice story because now 4 years fast forward, I was able to run for help and I was rushed off to trauma. He was in my car trying to get away and luckily couldn't start it because he probably would have run me over. He ended up fleeing by foot, burying himself in the large marshes and grass close to the office building. The next 72 hours were a blur. Detectives, police officers, newscasters, every piece of paperwork you can imagine. And I remember finally getting home and being in my backyard in the middle of June with this big hooded sweatshirt on, thinking, why did this happen to me? And really feeling like the victim. And what I realized in that moment is I had a choice. I had a choice of how I was going to react to it. And although the doctors and nurses and police and detectives were great, there was something else that saved me that day. And it was hearing the giggles of my kids in my pool at that time.
Yes.
Adeline and Drew, who were 6 and 9 at the time, who just saw their mom barely come back together from the hospital, and deciding, was I going to let this define me or redefine me? Did I want to be a victim, a survivor, or decide to thrive and show them what truly could come out of the other side? Yeah. And it wasn't like a light switch and all of a sudden there was this massive epiphany, but I did have that moment where I made the conscious decision that I needed to fight forward. And no matter how hard it was, no matter what I was going to have to go through, because it was a long journey. It was over 1,100 days, 11 trials, seeing this man in court, fighting for every piece of justice I could work on, that it took me full circle, but not giving up.
Right.
And sometimes those are the darkest moments. Yeah. And to me, that's really what defines audacity, when no one's clapping for you and no one's watching you. And audacious could be the fifth year of this, right?
Yes.
But audacity is when no one sees you prepping for the shows. Audacity is the times when, the clip doesn't go the way that it's supposed to, and you keep showing up, right?
That's
and
right.
so much of our life is that way.
Yeah.
Right?
So much of the experiences that we encounter, we have the opportunity to choose. We have the opportunity to make a decision about how am I going to live through this moment or be buried by it.
Yes.
And you chose to live.
Yes.
But not just live and then continue on. You chose to live and you're actually doing something with it. There's a law, there's legislation that you're working on. You have decided. And in this work, as we have done the flip side of adversity for 5 years now, I've had all kinds of trauma coaches and therapists and professionals on, and they talk about this concept of post-traumatic growth or post-traumatic wisdom.
Yes. Yes.
And in your work, you unpack the opportunity for women to take the wound and turn it into wisdom. And you've identified it as a choice. You talk about choosing the weights that expand you instead of the ones that drain you. How can leaders discern the difference between the two?
Oh, I mean, you just dropped so much magic onto that. And I'm so excited to answer that question. But I do want to just say that you're so right. Like, I look back and it wasn't a conscious decision like, oh, I'm going to turn this around and this is going to be great. But so many people, when I tell them the story, are saying, I am so sorry you went through this. And obviously we'd all respond that way. However, I say it was such a gift. I look back now and I realize that it was placed in my life for me to be able to do the TEDx and write the book and start the summit and change the law. And all of this was part of the grand plan. Talk about like divine intervention there. Yeah. But one of my philosophies is adding the weight. And when I first say it, sometimes that can sound heavy. We're already so burdened. There's so much on us. And I'm not talking about adding more, piling more on. I'm really talking about the weight that's going to serve you, leaning into the things that are going to next level you. What are those audacious stage? But equally so, what's the weight we need to remove? The weight that just keeps tying us down, the burden that's not allowing us to go forward. And so many times we spend so much time of our life doing the things that don't really serve us. And then we don't have the capacity or the space, or we wake up 10 years later and we wonder why we didn't do that big, hairy, scary goal that we really wanted to do. And it's because we're allowing all that other weight to just hold us back, right?
Yes. Yes.
And we have to decide on where we want to do it. If we want to go to the gym and get really good biceps, I'm not going to lift legs. Right? Like, it's that simple. We need to make that decision and then work on it every day.
Yeah.
And, there's a method that I call my 3-3-30 in my book. And that 30 minutes is deciding every day to spend 30 minutes on that audacious goal, whatever that is for you. What is that thing that's burning in your stomach? Or when you watch someone else, you're like, I wish I could do that. Or, that you can be working on every day. Because we can all find that time.
So can I lean in and ask you a practical question?
Sure.
Because I actually think about some particular women in my mind who have a big, audacious dream, goal, and they want it, but procrastination keeps showing up as a tripping stone.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to the woman who is actually being held hostage by procrastination?
Waiting to wait, right? Preparing to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe there's no better formula than messy action, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
the inaction is what's going to hold you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
If like the longer you delay, the harder it's going to be. So at some point you need to jump in and you need to say, I'm just going to make the decision. It sounds so much easier said than done, but it's the little things, right? If all of a sudden you want to run the 5K, it doesn't mean you're going to go out and run, 3.1 miles tomorrow. Go and walk around your neighborhood and do a quarter mile, right? Like start the little steps.
It's the 1%.
Yes.
The 1% every day.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
Atomic habits and
yes.
just going back to that and
all of the things.
Yes.
I love the concept that you share around releasing or dropping the weight that is draining you and really shifting and not being afraid of the weight that's going to train you for the next season. And the messiness, when you said that, I forget which time, because I've stalked her a little bit. I'm not even ashamed. You shared that, and I was like, that's golden, because procrastination is often the hostage because it is connected to perfection.
Oh, yes.
And you're saying, do it messy, one step at a time.
Absolutely. And if you take that wrong step, good. You'll figure it out.
Right.
Good it didn't go your way. You weren't supposed to go right. You're supposed to go left, right? But if you don't go any direction, you're in that same parking spot.
Right.
Right? You haven't made any progress.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You have made strides. I just read to the people. I'm like, Fox News, TED Talks. She's got books. She's an entrepreneur. When I look at all of the dynamic things that you have invited into your life, that you are walking and navigating. You've worked in engineering.
Yes, I know. Most people are like, wait, you're an engineer? I'm like, yes, in construction.
Yes, in construction. An entrepreneur, you are in media, leadership development, spaces that often demand that toughness. So how did you learn that audacity and softness can actually coexist?
Yeah, because it almost sounds like an oxymoron, right? And honestly, I think it's come with age. I know that I used to be the rough, tough, like, well, I gotta, keep up with the boys and with the construction place. And, and what I realized is that feminine or that soft side of it had to be part of the equation for me to truly, and I think motherhood helped me a lot with that. I really do. It's watching my kids and they would still say I'm super tough. But, all in all, I think that part of it, there's a reason that feminine energy and to be in flow. And I think for so long in my life, I had white knuckles and I was gripping that steering wheel so badly, right? And when this assault happened, I realized I needed to relinquish some of that.
Yeah.
And it was really a gift that way. And I'll never forget one of my first therapy appointments, trauma specialist, after the incident had happened. I remember going and having this therapy appointment with her. And I remember being so frustrated being there just because I think there was so much emotion and I wasn't ready to be open. And then she made me do this exercise. And I remember the anger going through me. She gave me a piece of paper and a pencil and she said, draw a house. And I said, I'm not I am trying to get my face back together. I am trying to figure out what just happened to me 5 days ago. And she had me draw the house room by room, sketch by sketch. The angrier I got, the darker the lines got, and the pencil, the point got, really dull. And then she had me draw the basement. And she then asked me to describe each of the rooms. When we got to the basement, she said, describe it to me. Well, I said, well, it's dark. It's dreary. There's lots of boxes and it's pretty messy. She looked at me. She goes, that's everything you've been repressing, everything you've been pushing down, everything you haven't wanted to deal with. And it was that moment of sitting across from her, no matter how frustrated I was with this damn house drawing, that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I got to deal with that stuff because so much of us, we just want to push it away and forget about it and put it under the carpet. And I was like, not with this one.
No.
And that's why I went completely opposite and let the reins go and say, what am I supposed to do with this? Please tell me, right? Just give me the message, give me the sign. And the messy middle, I'm still figuring it out, even 4 years later, right? So people can see, oh yeah, you have the accolades and you have the book and you have the TEDx. There's still many days I'm just a hot mess express trying to figure all this out. And because and let's be frank with each other, right? There's the days where, like I don't have that audacity or I can only give 20%. Or there is the, bathroom floor moments when you just feel like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
So I want to remind anyone that's listening to this, it's not like all of a sudden there was this pinnacle and everything's been this uphill, climb. It's been like tumultuous, but that's all part of the learning process.
Right.
But what I want to remind people that are listening to this is that in one of my keynotes, I talk about, the audacity that builds us. And I relate it to resiliency. And I give everyone a rubber band, a pink rubber band, which I know I gave you at one of them. And most of us want to stay in this comfortable space. We want to stay because this feels safe, right? And our body wants to do that, right? That's where we naturally want to be. But every once in a while, we have to remember that we have expansion in us. We all have room for growth. And every time we're willing to stretch this, and even if it's just the 1%, we're creating that muscle of resiliency. Yeah. And every once in a while, we're going to go a little too far and it's going to feel really uncomfortable and we're going to go well beyond the 1%. But that's when the quantum leaps start to happen. Yeah. And when you feel that relates to the adding of the weight, when we start to feel that we're being stretched, I truly believe it's the universe telling us, keep going. Keep going to that next thing because you're ready for it. You can always come back to your safe spot. And I remind people as they leave that keynote to put this around their wrist and wear it because life's going to life. And the next day, the procrastination's going to get in the way, right? The laundry needs to be folded. The kids are driving you nuts. But this is your reminder that you can always expand, but it's your choice. Yes. No one else is going to do it for you.
You chose to put all of that into your book.
I did. I did.
And so tell us about this journey, audacious expansion, breaking free from limitations to create your ultimate life. Tell us about this journey.
Oh, man, what a journey. I mean, this was probably one of the best things I could have done for therapy.
Tell the story.
The first chapter is Punch or Pivot, and it starts with the incident that I just described to you, because that's really where I feel that's where I made probably the most major pivot in my life. And sometimes the hardest thing in our life can actually be the thing that actually catapults us forward, right? That quantum leap that I talked about before. And in the moment, it doesn't feel that way, right? The days that I didn't want to show up at trial, the days that I wanted to throw in the towel, why should I fight for this law because it's not going to change my case? I knew there was something so much bigger. And what I wanted to do is to be able to leave as part of the legacy how I went through this journey and share some really vulnerable parts of my life, some of those other things that I talked about that I pressed away and didn't deal with. And at the end of every chapter, I give the reader a challenge on the audacity and action and how to actually go on and do it. And I don't expect every reader to do all 22 things, but pick one or two things that are going to move you forward.
Yes.
Pick, if it's chapter 7 that resonates with you, stick with that and how you can do it. And it comes with a free downloadable journal. So, because I'm a firm believer in the action and pen to paper, because when you write something down, you're 43% more likely to make it happen.
Yeah.
And by just sharing it with someone else, we're 70% more likely to make it happen. We didn't do any of the work yet. But if that's the odds, well, you're already 78% of the way there.
Right.
Say your audacious goal out loud. So if you're having that procrastination, go just tell someone else. I mean, now you only have 22% to go.
Yes, kick it into gear. Kick it into gear. So bold blueprint, no apologies. On that page, you start each chapter with a quote. The moment you share your goals, they stop being whispers and start becoming blueprints. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a lot of like tie-ins there to construction, right? And talking about the blueprint, being in that world. But anyone can relate to a blueprint, right? Whether we're building a house, whether we're building a podcast, whether you're building a TV show, right? That we have to have a plan, right? And if we don't have a plan, we don't know where we're going, right? There's a reason we put GPS on and just don't, blindly try to drive somewhere, right? And there's going to be detours and there's going to be twists and turns. And every once in a while, the bridge is going to be closed or the road is, but just like building, but you got to start with the foundation.
Yes.
Right? If you start with a cracked foundation and that's yourself. And the B of bold method is believing in you, starting with you every day, fueling yourself every day. Just not even what you're eating and drinking, but just your mindset and how you want to start your day. Do the hard things first, right? Because all the excuses and procrastination will get in the way. So you get to make that decision.
And believing in you.
Right.
Letting go of whatever narrative somebody else gave you about how you aren't enough or what you aren't, but really leaning into believing in you. So you started us on the journey of talking about your framework of BOLD. Can you break down BOLD?
Absolutely.
For our audience?
Yes. And what I love is that the book, actually, there's a chapter for each letter. So it's broken down a lot more there. But, starting with like the belief in yourself of every day, what are the things that you are doing to fuel your mind, to fuel your soul, emotionally, physically, emotionally, right? And we have to start there. They say there's a reason we put the face mask on first, right?
Yes.
Like if God forbid the plane's going down, right? We need to make sure that we're okay. And how can we go and serve everyone else if we haven't taken care of our soul and taken care of our hopes and wishes? And I think especially women, we want to give to everyone else.
We sure do.
And we realize that you're giving someone a fraction of yourself if you're not really okay. So you have to make that decision. Like, do you want to give someone else 20% or do you want to give someone the 100% that you know you have in you, but you got to start with yourself. And then the O is the ongoing process or, really owning that. Like, what are the consistent things that you're going to do each day? What are the things for that progress that are going to push you forward, that are the non-negotiables?
Yeah.
That you're not going to making them a habit for you.
Yeah.
But as much as the O is also the ongoing process and what you're going to do every day, it also goes back to the weight analogy. And in there, it's what are the things you're also going to omit? And I have in that chapter something about don't bake the brownies. And it's this
Set somebody free, Erika.
Right?
Set them free, Erika.
And I remember being a young mom and feeling so inundated that I needed to show up for the play and bake the brownies and make sure I was running the board meeting and all the things in between. And finally, I just didn't want to go home and bake the brownies at 6:00 at night. I was not a good baker. And I decided to hire someone else who baked really good brownies, and that was her business that she was building. Fuel her dreams. Now, I know that's a pretty pretty easy analogy, but what are the things that aren't serving you? What are the things you can say no to and that are serving someone else's dreams?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And help them build it. And then the L is leaning on others, right? We weren't meant to do life alone. Who are the people in your life that you can lean on? People want to help you, but they can't help you if they don't know that you need their help. And who are those board of directors? Who are those people that you're surrounding yourself with? Cody Sanchez says something that when we surround ourselves around high achievers, just within a 25-foot radius, we become 15%. We raise our performance by 15%. So just me sitting next to you, I'm probably like 50% higher with all of your energy. But conversely, when we sit around people or we're in circumference, whether it's in an office setting, whether it's at a networking event, whatever it is, that that are low performers or aren't really at that same level as you, conversely, they bring you down 25%. So you have to decide where that dial needs to be.
Yes.
Right? And so many people are hanging around the people that are lowering their bar to make themselves feel better. But I always say, be that small fish in that big pond, right? Why do they tell you, buy the smallest house in the biggest neighborhood? Like, be in the room where it feels uncomfortable, where you feel that stretch happening.
Right.
And then D brings us on to developing others, right? And that brings us full circumference with the legacy part of it, right? I truly believe that you come full circle when you want to invest in others, when you want to help lift them as you're rising, when you are pouring into people without a reason for an outcome. Like, you're not doing it for the accolades. You're not doing it because of dollars or cents. You're doing it because you just want to invest in that person and you see something in them because someone else has done that for you.
Absolutely.
Be that light.
Yes. So I want to do a shameless plug, if you don't mind.
You got it.
So I'm going to do me, and then I need you to do you. So
Perfect.
that D of developing others, I want women to remember that the last girlfriend gathering for 2026 is happening May 30th. At the Vibe in Pottstown. We have in person as well as a virtual option. It starts at 10 a.m. that Saturday. It is the last one for 2026. And women know, once I close the door on Girlfriend Gathering, it does not open again until the following year. Oh. So this will be your last chance. And we are talking with Tish Valdez on identity. So May 30th, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, go to livingstrongllc.com/events and get your ticket. And because we are two fish in a big pond growing together, I love being in alignment with women who do the same similar thing. And you too are developing women because you have developed a summit. And I believe last week's speaker was a speaker at one of your summits. So yes, Leah.
Yes. Yeah,
Leah
I saw
Valencia
you.
Key.
Yes.
Leah Valencia Key was at your...
She was.
Yes.
And all in her yellow and doing her thing and bringing her jewelry.
So being
talk
in
about
space,
energy.
Right?
Yes.
Being in spaces that elevate your thinking, your experience. Girlfriend Gathering May 30th. And tell us about the summit in June.
Oh, I get so excited about this. The summit is October 16th.
October.
Yes. So we got plenty of time, but it's in Conshohocken at Weston, Maine. Last year, again, I had a calling that someone said, you are supposed to open this space for women and help them raise their bar and be around other audacious women and become that room where they don't just raise their bar by 15%, but they raise their bar leaving there 30, 50%, feeling like they could walk out there unstoppable. And that's exactly what we did last year. And I am so excited to do it again this year. We're having a VIP half day with a VIP night on the 15th of October. The next day, Friday the 16th, all day, speakers. We're going to have panels. We're going to have music. We're going to have live interaction. I mean, it is going to be next level. Last year, talk about last year was incredible. I cannot wait to tell you some of the surprises up my sleeve that are coming this year. So I'd love people to be in the room. So
tell people how they can find the information about the summit.
Absolutely. I mean, I am, any of my social media channels, but especially my website, www.erikarothenberger.com. And on there is an event tab. You can go buy your tickets. You can see some, things that we did last year. You can get excited for this year. You can buy your VIP ticket or your general admission ticket, wherever you feel that you fit in. But we want you in the room. We absolutely want you there.
So this is the message that has been handpicked to remind you that 2026 is your bold year.
Yes.
No more playing small, no more second guessing, no more shrinking, that this is your bold, audacious year.
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I strategically put it on the second week of October because it's basically 12 weeks before the end of the year. So giving you enough ramp up space to not make the excuses because we all get into the new year and then we're developing these goals. Well, I want everyone to start 12 weeks in advance because the things we do 12 weeks before is really what ends up coming to fruition. So let's not start, you know what I mean? Let's not start on the 30-yard line. Let's start, well in advance and be ready to catapult us forward. And what comes out of that is usually, 18 to 20 women decide to raise their hand and say, I'm really ready to really hold myself accountable. And I have a 12-week boot camp mastermind that comes off of it to really help us elevate. Because just like you said, being in the right room with the right people, elevating ourselves without even doing any of the work, right? But connection is so important.
I'd like for you to allow our listeners to understand what they can begin to consider as leaders in a season and time where survival mode, you can so easily find yourself trapped in. How do leaders stop confusing? Like they hear this, they're like, oh, they sound amazing. That's just who they are. Oh, they've got it all together. I'll never, like all of the things, because they're trapped in that survival or scarcity mindset only because of that's the I'm not even going to call it a pond. That's the sinking pit.
Quicksand.
Right, the quicksand. How do leaders stop confusing survival skills with actual sustainable leadership habits as you think about this conversation of discipline?
Yeah, well, there's a chapter in here and it actually says, ditch the busy. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And, embrace... I am so sorry. And embrace, obviously I'm supposed to share this message.
Yes.
Embrace the abundance, right? And start, like sometimes we feel like, oh, we're so busy. So I took the 4-letter B word out of my vocabulary because I think so many of us we're so busy and we're so weighed down and we focus so much of our time there instead of saying, hey, what's the abundance that I can go find? And stop playing that comparison game, right? Like this is your journey, not someone else's, right? And your page 1 is going to look different than someone who's already on page 20. And I think sometimes we try to be so prescriptive, right? Instead of deciding what really is going to serve us and being in that abundant mindset. And I truly believe it's starting every day. Part of that 3-3-30 that I talked about before, literally it's pen to paper. The 3 things that you are so grateful for in your day that happened the day before, but be really specific because when you're specific about the things that you're grateful for, you will attract so much more of it. And I think sometimes, we get stuck in this trap that we need to try to fit, the square peg in the round hole and it's just not fitting, but we just keep going and going and going instead of saying, hey, listen, maybe I got to relinquish this and look in a different direction or what's really going to serve me because I just keep trying to be busy with making this work instead of saying, hey, maybe I got to let go of this and look in a different direction.
And so can you remind us of the elements of the 3-3-30 or 3-33?
3-3-30. So it's basically 36 minutes of your day.
Got it.
Which is approximately 2% of your day.
Yes.
And I'm like, we have all wasted 36 minutes doom scrolling or pressing snooze a couple too many times, right? Or wasting time, watching some, TV show or cats on TikTok that don't serve us. Find the 36 minutes in your day. And the 3 minutes is as simple as before my feet even hit the floor in the morning. I lay there in bed and I talk to whoever you need to talk to in your universe. To me, it's God. And I just set my intentions for the day, what I want to bring in my world, how I want to show up, who I want to attract. And it's just self-talk. Before you doom scroll, before you get your coffee, before you brush your teeth, right? Because it goes back to the foundation of that blueprint, right? That foundation needs to be sturdy. And if you start there, the rest of the day will only get easier. The next thing is pen to paper. Those 3 things that you were super grateful for, right? That you got to tuck your, child in last night and read, a passage out of, I don't know, Alice Wonderland or whatever it is, but really feel the moment. Feel how grateful you are for where you are right there in your life. And it can be small things, right? Yes. We don't have to have all these, I think we think that we can only write it down if it's these big, bold, great goals. But remember, it's the audacity of the small little things. And then the 30 minutes goes back to, what is that scary goal? What is that thing that you need to work on every day? And if all it is today is that you decide that you want to write that book, and you go and spend 30 minutes and you write a half a page, you did something.
You did
it. You got off the block.
Yes.
Right?
This has been I told y'all. I hope you got the paper like I told you to at the start. I warned you that it was going to come through, and it was going to come through fast. I can't believe we're already at 55 minutes.
I know.
I want to first make sure that people know how to find you. Yes. So can you give them your website as well as at least one of your social media handles?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is Erika Rothenberger, Rothenberger. I know it's 12 letters, my poor children, right? And I say, you can find a lot out about me on my website, and all of my social media channels are there. And that's www.erikarothenberger.com. But I would love to connect with you. I'd love to hear your stories. And I do want to say that if you do buy a copy of the book, all of the proceeds right now are going to Laurel House, which is for domestic violence. And 1 in 4 women are impacted by domestic violence right now. And although mine was not a domestic case, I really believe in being the audacious voice for that man or woman that is suffering with domestic violence right now, who may not have the audacity to get out of that situation. Yeah. And I truly believe that goes with the D, about developing and being that person to next level them. And the reason that I'm trying to change the law too, it won't change my case, but in the state of Pennsylvania, when you get strangled by a stranger, it's a misdemeanor versus a felony. And I really feel it's so important that we change this law. So if someone else goes through something as horrific as I went through, they don't have to go through 11 trials and, over 1,100 days until justice is actually served.
Oh, can I just lean in and say, I have told people this before, that sometimes the things that have happened, the dark, hard things, is because God knew that he could trust you with it. Not that he wanted to cause it, or not that he wanted it for you, but he knew in his sovereignty, if he allowed it, that he could trust you with how you would flip it. And so everything that you have laid out before us, put clearly in the book, is evidence of that he could trust you.
Thank you.
Could trust you.
Yeah, that sits beautifully.
As we close out, I always ask my leadership guests to look into the camera and speak to the leader who by chance gets this show, this episode. And it has literally happened to me. I've been places and people are like, so-and-so just happened to give it, and it was exactly what I needed. And so I'm asking you to think about that leader who by chance gets this episode. What is the action step you want them to take next week, so that this is not just an episode they listen to, but it's literally a launching pad? A launching pad. Can you talk to them for me?
Absolutely. So I don't want you just to take this next week. I want you to do this right after you listen to it. I literally want you to take your notebook out. I want you to take that pen to that piece of paper, and I want you to think about, what is that thing that is holding you back? What is that weight that you have on your life right now that you need to remove so you can add the weight to where it belongs, to where you need to go? What is that audacious thing that you've been dying to do, that you know is in your soul, you know it's in your heart, you know it's the coulda, shoulda, woulda that you just haven't acted upon. And I want you to write it down. But I don't want you to write it down once. I want you to write it into being. I am going to be an author of XYZ book. I am going to run the marathon. I am going to start a nonprofit. Whatever that thing is, write it down into being. And then every day for the next 30 days, that's how I want you to start your day. I want you to write it at least 10 times. Because if you start writing it into being, right, we're 43% more likely to make it happen. And then I want you to take it one step further. I want you to tell someone else that's going to hold you accountable to it. I want you to trust someone else that is going to help you get there. But they might give you some hard love to help you next step that goal. And after 30 days, it's going to start to be part of your system. And there's no turning back. There's no turning back once you decide to take that action. That little bit every day. Devote that 30 minutes, write it down, tell someone else, and I can't wait to see you crush your goals.
As we close tonight, I want every leader who has been listening to this conversation to ask themselves one question. What weight am I carrying that no longer is helping me grow? Because what Erika reminded us tonight is that not every burden is meant to be sustained. Some weights build strength, but others can slowly drain our peace, our clarity, our creativity, and our identity. Leadership is not about proving how much pain you can endure, and it's actually about having the audacity to choose alignment over appearances, purpose over performance, and expansion over survival. So here's your action step for this week. Audit your life and your leadership. Identify one thing you are carrying out of fear, obligation, or expectations, and make a decision to release it. Then choose one intentional weight that stretches you toward growth, courage, and purpose. Because your destiny is not determined by what has happened to you, it is actually shaped by what you choose next. And as we close out our anniversary episode, 5 years ago, I chose to step out into uncertainty, into the unknown, and with my knees shaking, step into something I had never done before, but I had whispered in a small prayer. And leaders, here we are, 5 years later. So I want to challenge you. What are you going to let go of because it's keeping you from your next bold, audacious step and the flip that your life has been waiting for? We'll see you next week.